good too. You look amazing.
Thank you. You do too, beautiful lady.
Oh, thank you so much. So
You
excited.
are you are a gorgeous woman. I got to tell you that.
Oh, you're very kind.
It's true. It's not about my kindness. It's about that's the truth.
Hmm.
You
Grateful.
are. Look at that beautiful face.
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm like, this is my dream come true. I don't know. So I'm excited and nervous both at the same time, but also really looking forward to the conversation. But
Yeah,
tell me how your day was and how's it going there? I know it's 12 noon, right? Half a
yeah,
day.
it's 12. Let me just fix this so I can get a better, I think, light. So I am still in the process of moving. I'm at the home stretch. So yesterday I had a carpet cleaner come and a maid to come. I shouldn't say maid, a housekeeper, someone to clean. I don't know what the proper word for that is anymore. To kind
Mhm.
of do a deep cleaning because I didn't have time for it, to be honest. And
Right.
it took her 6 hours. It probably would take me 3 days to do that deep cleaning. Right, to get into the stove and to get into all those areas because I wanted to leave it nice um for my landlady because she's having family move in right after I leave. That's why I'm leaving. Part of the reason. And so I wanted to leave it nice for her. And I was just like, I do not have time to work and to move and to do this deep cleaning.
Right. And it takes so much energy, right? Out of the cleaning. I
Yeah.
mean, I love cleaning, but it takes a lot of time and energy there.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. I am not a person that loves cleaning. I don't hate it, and it definitely can be therapeutic when I'm like in the zone when I like want to get into an organizing. Like I have to be like there has to be some like higher intention, but I'm more like let's say I'm gonna organize an office because it's gonna be my new office space, and I'm like yes, and I can put this and I can put the labels, blah blah blah. But when it's like something that it's more like a chore, like something that I have to do, then it's just like right? Like there's no like real inspo behind it. And it takes me forever. Like I don't know how people clean fast, but it's just like and maybe it's my ADHD brain because I get distracted with things too. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, let's see what's going on Instagram. Let's talk to my friend. And before you know, like 4 hours are passed. And like I only did half of the show.
Same. I have the same. And I'm, while on the phone, I'll be telling my friend, I've been wanting to clean, but half of my day is gone just by talking. But then I mean, it happens to me too. It's been a while. I haven't really had proper time to clean, but I mean, I love to clean, but then I don't like to clean because when I start cleaning, I get into this, you know, deep cleaning all the corners and things like
Yeah.
that. It has to be neat and tidy, but yeah, I, it's like a mandatory task, can't avoid, but yeah, always good to have help.
Yes. So Brenda's running a little late. She just texted me. So I just sent her the Zoom link. So she'll be on in a couple minutes. She's
Okay.
taking time out of her like um she's doing lunch schedule for us, which is
I
amazing. For me, really, she's doing it because I'm trying to record as many podcasts as I can before I leave because I'm not gonna have a recording space for a while.
I see.
So I in this last week and a half, I think we recorded like 7 podcasts. We did a lot. Yeah.
Last week in one
Yeah,
week.
within this last week, we did like 7. It's like within the last week and a half, I want to say. Something like
Wow. Well, that's
that.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing. So I'm temporarily moving back into my mom's house, which I was not happy about because it's like I'm a big girl now. I don't want to go back to mom's house, right? And also I'm in the process of like purchasing a property, right? And the
Mm.
negotiations are just taking a little bit longer than I would like. I thought it was going to go much smoother than this,
Hmm.
but it hasn't. And so the original plan was for the place to be renovated and I'd be moving from here to there, right? And then the monkey wrench got thrown in where my landlady, which was perfect actually, because I wanted her to make sure she had somebody here when I left as well. Her family started moving from Italy, so she's like, "Listen, I didn't want to tell you this, but my husband wants his I think it's his brother to come and live downstairs." And she's really sad about it because she doesn't want me to go. We've
Mm.
created quite the relationship. So
Right.
um so now I kind of have to be out of here. So I was just like, now what do I do? I don't have the place ready. So, so yeah, so I'm moving into my like old childhood room
Oh,
temporarily.
oh,
And it's been kind of wild because of the fact that I have this big apartment here, and now I'm trying to condense everything to be in this one room. So trying to figure out what am I keeping, what am I going to need, what's going to have to go into storage, what's going to keep for the long haul. It's been like the most insane sorting process. And right now, my childhood room looks a little bit like an episode of Hoarders because I keep on just putting like boxes and bags and boxes. There's just boxes and bags all over. So now that's like the next. I tried to like set up the outer ambiance. So I do have like my bed and like some cool furniture and some plants and things. But then like in the middle of the room, it's just all these boxes and bags. So
yeah.
that's my next process that I have to. The next thing I have to tackle. So
Mm,
that's gonna be fun.
mm. Yeah, that sounds fun. I know. Um, our childhood rooms, right? I think when I went back home like a couple of years ago, everything has changed, and I kept asking my mom, okay, I'm back home after 5 years, right? Back in, like, I went back to Nepal, and I kept asking, where's my art that I made? Where's my box of journals? Where's my this stuff? And she's like, I dumped everything in the garage. And I felt it was very emotional to me. But then for her, it was like, no, I'm like securing so that nobody touches it. And I'm like, I don't, this used to be my room, but it's not, this is not like my
Yeah.
room anymore. But I was like, I had like a childhood memories that came back when I went to
Yeah.
my old room. So, yeah, it was quite emotional. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited that you're getting a new property as well in the meantime, and
Yeah.
I wish you all the best. I hope it
Thank
goes
you.
smoothly.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge, and that's been bringing me like I guess like the most anxiety because I'm like, how am I going to make this work?
Yeah.
Like there's got to be a way. So, yeah, but I'm just going for it. Like it's going to pan out. I'm manifesting that it's going to work out
Yes,
and
yes, it is. It is. So it is. It is done already. Just a matter
yeah,
of that happening like in our reality. But yes, I'm so hopeful. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that's what I got so far. So it's been quite the July.
Oh my God, I cannot believe we're end of July, and I was hoping to launch my podcast from May, then June, then July, then now it's going to be next week. I haven't told anybody the date, so I'm officially launching the first episode next Wednesday. And yeah, it's been a little, I'm taking a little slow time. Probably it's also the fear, like, oh my God, I want everything to be there,
Yeah,
the details. And when I'm, talking about someone, a guest, and I'm writing about them, I want everything to be correct, the bio and things like that. So I'm like, I'm slowing myself down, to be honest.
yeah.
But it seems like time's moving so fast, but yeah.
I think that just so you know, you're normal, number one.
Mm,
And from my experience, like in the podcast Babes group, I've seen a lot of this and I've seen it for
yeah.
myself too. So one thing I want to acknowledge you for is that you're actually doing it. Because
Mm,
there are some people who've had that same mentality that they're like, they want to have everything perfect and they've done all the recordings, they've done all this stuff, and they still haven't put it out there into the world,
yeah.
right? And and so the fact that you're just like, okay, next week it's going to be, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Because that's actually the difference that made the difference for the people who actually did get their podcast up and running, right? Like they're like, I'm just going to do it. And that honestly, that was me too with the podcast. So when it came to editing and stuff like that. And then I just got to a place where I really started taking in Tony Robbins' teaching of like, you know what? Done is better than perfect.
Yeah. Yes.
And and so now, even though I definitely still have that where I'm like, okay, I gotta fix this, I gotta fix that, I gotta make sure that's okay because there's, I think that's part of who we are as creators, right? It's our art, right? So we want to make sure that this is something that we can like put our name on, right? But at the same time, I feel that you'll notice that as you keep on going, there's certain things that are not going to be as big of a deal to you anymore because you're going to start to notice like, okay, this is actually what makes a difference, but this doesn't really matter that much. So who cares,
Mm,
right? Like we can fix that later. You know what I mean? Or, we can just do this in the interim or whatever it is. So I think that that's part of the journey too. So you're normal, and
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I'm really
Oh,
proud of you.
thank you so much. No, I was just thinking about this last night, right? Like how I just sent you that message in Facebook, through that mastermind group. And I don't know how I even found you. It's probably one of your videos that I found you. And to be part of the community with, Boss Babe podcast, being on that Monday meeting, although I haven't like been actively participating, but just that thought that, oh, I have this community where I can go in and rely, ask questions and get that support. I think it has really played a crucial role in me like
Aww.
finally producing the podcast. Yeah. And I thought of you and both Brenda with equal gratitude and just so much humbled that this is something that I've been thinking about like maybe a year, 2 year, and I didn't think even like early in January, February, this could be a reality. And I cannot believe, Kat, like to be honest, I cannot believe this is happening for real.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see how it goes from here. I mean, this is just a beginning, right? But
Amazing. I love hearing that because it makes me feel like, okay, like this is the mission and the outcome that I'm intending for that community is actually happening. Because that's what I want. I want us to support each other and help each other collaborate so we can get things out into the world and make it a reality, right?
yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think being in that public space, right, where I don't want to be judged, right? People are gonna pass comments or say something, and I'm like, I always had that fear of being not so vulnerable, but just putting myself out there in social media. So I think
Yeah.
that's been a risk, which I believe I am in the process of overcoming that fear. But I really believe that quote that you said, done is better than perfect. I think
Yes.
gonna get it
Absolutely.
over, make mistakes, learn.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, if you really look at all the comments of, let's say, in the mastermind group, and not within the group really, but like, because typically Dean's fans, right? But if you look at like in the general social media and you look at like people's comments out there, Tony and Dean get their criticisms too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean that's just part of it. Like, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea,
Mm,
you know.
so
And
true.
everybody who has any kind of platform, once you get to a certain point of being well known, like you're going to get criticisms,
Hmm.
right? And that's where I think, you really have to get grounded in knowing who you are. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Because, even for, let's say, the workshops that we were doing, I put out an ad for, I think, I don't remember if it was the first workshop or the second, but somebody commented because it's a fairly new Facebook page that I made, and she was like, just really rude and saying things like, I don't believe in this, and this is a scam, and I unless you have like years of formal education and this and that. Like, how could you be coaching people? And I was just like thinking to myself, I'm like, first of all, I'm like, the people on this panel have had years and years of formal education, whether it's, college, something that's more traditional, or even years and years of studying under somebody, a mentorship or certification or whatever it is. Like, that's all formal education. And we have
So
an
true.
that. Like, there's a lawyer on here, right? On this panel. We have Brenda has her MBA. I have my psychology degree, like plus all the certifications. And so I really had to like get into my place of certainty, because I could have been like just going back and forth with this girl, right? And just
Yeah.
being upset with her. Or I could have let her comment um bring me down. But I did look at her page real quick, and she's just like this internet troll, right? Like, she doesn't have like her real pictures up. You can see how like nasty she is to everybody. And I forget what I said. I just made like some kind of like comment back, like, thank you for bringing such positive energy to the space, and just left it at that. So it was like just a jab back at her, but just in a place where it's like, I'm not gonna go like low and start fighting with you.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then I was talking with Zakil, who is also part of our podcast, Babes, and was on the workshop, and she was like, "Hey, we made it! We got our first internet troll. We got our first hater. Like that's a sign, right? Like that you made it because everybody has one." I'm like, "Oh, that's so true. Like, hey, look, mom, I made it."
Yeah.
Right?
That is
So
so true. I
yeah,
think it's when we start to, well, first of all, I think that comment, right? The people who pass on negative comments and judgments, I think that itself comes from a place of insecurity out of their own life, right? And I
yeah,
so believe when you said that all these formal educations, right? This is just like old way of doing things we're used to. But I think in today's world, anybody can learn. There are free resources on the internet, and with the help of the certification and programs that we have access to, it has become such an easy thing for us to learn. And more than that, I think life experience teaches you so much more than a 10-year degree. Come on, right?
yes, yes, absolutely. And that's
Yeah.
why we're part of the mastermind community because Dean says exactly that, right? He's
Yeah.
always saying
Yeah.
that you know you want to learn from people who have already done the thing, and
So
that's why
true.
the knowledge industry is booming because people are recognizing that they're really getting
Yes.
like, okay, like I want to learn from somebody who's done it. That way, I can go further faster.
Mm-hmm. So true. And I used to be one of those people who'd be like, you have to have a formal degree before you go into any career. But then in last 4 years, ever since in 2019 when I started to meditate and learn about personal growth, learn from Tony, Dean, Wayne Dyer, Joe Dispenza, everybody out there, I think learning concepts from those people who have actually done it and changed millions of people's lives and implementing just like a little bit of those teachings into my own life, I've seen such a big change. So that in itself, I think, tells so much about what does the knowledge industry can make an impact in everyone's life. So I know I see a lot of topics out there in social media about like coaching and all these things, but I think, I mean, if it makes your life better and if only impacts one person out there positively, right? Why not go out and talk about it?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I feel like even like when it comes down to my psychology degree, it was I would never replace that education because I find the mind fascinating, right? And I love learning all the concepts and all of that. However, I really didn't get it until I actually got in the world and I started learning from people that maybe had a radio show or a book and started hearing like these real life stories and how these things kind of manifested in their real life and how it's expressed in their real life. And so I think my biggest growth has been learning from other people and mentors and books and speakers and all those things. I think the first um one of the first ways that I started learning from mentors was with Louise Hay, right?
Mm,
From a lot of her radio show. I mean, first of all, the first real mentor was Tony Robbins. It always has been. I think I told you that story last time about how I found his tapes that my stepdad ordered. So that was my first one. But
mhm,
then in terms of like having something that you tune in to like every week, I used to listen to the Hay House channel. That was like my medicine. I used to put that on, and that's how I learned about all the fascinating things that I know about, right? Because there would always be these up and coming authors and um, and speakers and coaches and healers, and I was like, oh, I didn't know about that. Let me read their book, right? Let me take their class.
mm.
So, and a lot of the knowledge that I have is the foundation of those teachings and the culmination of all of that work together. So that just goes to show what happens when we all put our knowledge out there into the world, right? Like, let's not be selfish. And
Right, right.
let's put our everything that we know out there in the world because other people are wanting that.
Yes, so true. In fact, just having this conversation with one of my guests, who runs a Nepalese community on a global level. And one of the things that she mentioned was sometimes we don't share what we know, we keep it to ourselves because there may be some insecurity as to I don't want you to know because I just want to grow and develop myself. But she emphasized this importance of knowledge sharing and bringing people into the community and rising together. So I think I believe in it so much. And I think now I think more of if you know something, talk about it. Maybe your life story is gonna be I heard this quote actually. You never know that your life story could be someone else's survival guide. And it could be just about like overcoming a bad habit, right? It doesn't have to be anything significant. That specific line touched me. So every time when I was postponing of this idea of podcasting or being out there in social media, I used to get those gentle whispers as to what if you say something and it impacts someone? Because a lot of, like you said, the mentors, speakers, authors, when they spoke about something, it did change my life, right? So yeah, it's empowering, I think, just to have access to all of this knowledge out there and just be able to, not wait for a degree or a timeline and just be able to, I guess, serve as a guide or serve people, learn basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a forever learner, and I really, I really do things when I'm thinking about whether it's this podcast or our group podcast, Babes, that we're in together, or whatever that I'm creating. It really is for the purposes of helping people learn what I've learned in a shorter period of time,
Mm,
right? To be like, just here's my knowledge, right? Let me help you. And even if it's something so simple, like I was thinking about this concept the other day with a friend of mine. So there was a period of time that I was doing DoorDash, right?
mhm,
And it was right after I tore my ACL because I wasn't able to go on these long walks that I used to go on, right? And I was trying to figure out how to heal my knee. And I was like, how am I going to like be outside? I love to be outside and I love walking. How am I going to do this? And I forget how door dashing came up, but I was like, you know what? Let me do that because I will get to interact with people, right? And I will also be able to make some money. And from getting in and out the car and delivering people stuff, I can be outside and I can also deliver these things and get some exercise. And so I did that for a little while. And then recently, my friend um, called me because she just moved and she just had a new baby and she wants to make some extra money. And I was like, I got so excited because I'm like, oh my God, okay, here's what you got to do. And I like ran down a whole list of tips for her
mm,
on like what to do and how to do it and how to get started faster. Because when I first started, I remember like making $30 at the end of my day. And I was like, that was exhausting. And
mm.
then I had to go onto YouTube and I had to find like all these different door dashers to give me tips to figure out how to make a good chunk of money in my day. And because of the tips that I gave her, she started making a lot of money pretty fast. And she was like, I am so grateful for your tips, Kitty. She calls me Kitty. Um, and and that was just like I was just thinking of like it's such a simple example, but that's so true. Like that's the purpose. Is like if we're able to learn something and we kind of have done it the hard way where we had to do the research, like then why not then just package that up and share it with somebody, so it's like here's my gift to you, right? This is the way to do it faster so that you don't have to go through the trial and error that I went through.
Right, right. It takes a lot of time, I think, just to learn on your own and, make that mistakes. I think it saves time when you learn from someone who is an expert and someone who's done it, right? So I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.